I would go into a meeting and I would look at the people. And by the way, higher education wages, public school, how much everybody's making. And I would literally calculate how expensive this meeting was.
Yep.
And then you start thinking about across the organization, how expensive these meetings are. And now that we're running our own, it's very different to collect a paycheck than it is to write them.
Yep.
And when you're in that mode and you're in a meeting and you're feeling like you're getting nowhere and this is super inefficient, all of a sudden you're just seeing dollars flying out the window.
This is BetterWealth with Caleb Guilliams. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the BetterWealth Breakdown, where we break down ideas, concepts, and thoughts from around the world to help you live a more intentional life. And Dan, what are we going to be talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about why meetings suck and how to make them suck less. And that's actually coming from Cameron Herold's book, Meetings Suck. And Cameron Herold, we've talked about him a bit. He's an amazing human being and somebody that I would love to meet someday. So if you're watching, I'd love to meet you. And this concept to me is amazing because there's so many meetings and so much inefficiency in meetings that happen every single day all across the world. And just in America alone, there's literally billions of dollars, and that's with a B, billions of dollars wasted every single year on inefficient meetings. And we've been trying to figure this whole process out ourselves. And we've been continually honing in on that. And then this book came in my life.
Well, and if you're a business owner, or if you're even running or managing a team and you just start seeing how many people are paid, you're like, okay, this Johnny's paid 100K, Susan is paid 150. And then you got, Rick over there that's paid $75,000 a year. And then you start thinking about all the money that's literally burnt at inefficient meetings. Mm-hmm. We've kind of like, all right, guys, this is an expensive meeting. Let's get going. And I can very much relate from the very beginning in our business, even before that, in other companies that I worked at. There's a lot of meetings that you're like, okay, that was a waste of time. I'm less clear, or and I just wasted a lot of time, what I could be doing. So don't want to steal the show here, but it's just like I think a lot of people are nodding their heads, going like, I relate.
Well, and the reality is, I would say almost everybody that's listening to this has either led or been part of a meeting in their life.
Yeah.
And if true, there's some things that we can talk about here to improve the efficiency of that and or remove yourself completely from the meeting because you didn't need to be there in the first place. And for me, I had a lot of experience in quote unquote corporate America, higher education, back when I was working at the university. And I was always really frustrated. And I think a lot of you can relate to this of a lot of people like to meet just to meet. And then when you're in the meeting, you're setting up a time for another meeting so that you don't have to actually do your job because you're just always in meetings. Yeah. And it was so incredibly frustrating. And that's what I actually started saying is I would go into a meeting and I would look at the people. And by the way, higher education wages, public school, how much everybody's making. And I would literally calculate how expensive this meeting was.
Yeah.
And then you start thinking about across the organization, how expensive these meetings are. And now that we're running our own, it's very different to collect a paycheck than it is to write them.
Yep.
And when you're in that mode and you're in a meeting and you're feeling like you're getting nowhere and this is super inefficient, all of a sudden you're just seeing dollars flying out the window. And we talk about efficiency of your dollar and opportunity costs. There's massive opportunity costs in time, in resources, in money, in many different ways, and mental capacity, emotional capacity, all those different things. And so we have gone through a lot of different phases of running our meetings from there's different timeframes of meetings. So all the way from yearly meetings or annual meetings to quarterly meetings to monthly meetings to weekly meetings to daily huddles. Yeah. And quite frankly, where we've seen the most success recently is in the daily huddle. Yeah. And I know that that's something that you've really enjoyed is get the whole team together. We meet at 9:03 Mountain Time specifically. And people always ask, well, why 9:03? I said, exactly. Because it makes you think about it.
Yep.
And people, lo and behold, they show up at 9, we start on time at 9:03, and we end at 9:18, 15 minutes later. And we have a whole process for that. And we've seen really good success with that. Something that we didn't do very well, in my opinion, was the quarterly meeting.
Yeah.
Because we would talk about all this stuff, think we're going to accomplish
the quarter debate. That's what I call it. Yeah.
The quarter debate. And then what would happen during the quarter?
Yeah. I was just thinking if you were watching the Trump and Biden first debate, That's exactly what happens with our quarterly meetings. It's like everyone wants to chat and talk, but with all joking aside, yeah, I mean, we're definitely improving, and I think we're definitely learning as this goes. I think the daily huddle though is going to help in every other area, and we've seen this in all of our other meetings. It has improved because we have that daily check-in.
Yeah.
But it's for a very specific purpose.
Yeah.
It's not for me to share vision, and it's not for you to talk about processes. It's for us to give a quick win, what we did what our win was yesterday, and what our win is today. And it's that one quick 15-minute meeting. I'm telling you, because we're a virtual company, has been a game changer for our business.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And I think the other piece too is like, if you're moving quickly, there you have to collapse timeframes. And so what we realized was we would meet quarterly, and then everything would just like essentially get pushed to last month. And we're like, okay, hold on a second. Really, a quarter is like a year for us because we're moving so fast. And so what we started doing is really doing that quarterly meeting as a monthly meeting and getting really clear on what we're doing that month. And so that's things too of like in meetings and setting up a meeting. This is something that I really liked from this book, was asking the question, how quickly can we get this done? Not how long will this meeting take, but like, how quickly can this meeting be? Or how quick can this meeting be? And I really love that reframe, because it totally changes your mindset of like, you know what, we could get this done in 12 minutes specifically.
Yep.
And what most people do is they schedule an hour, and then guess what? It takes a full hour.
Yep.
And then suddenly, I mean, your schedule out of anybody's is like stack. And then all of a sudden there's no time to do anything else.
100%. And I think this is also, I mean, I'll just share this. I now have a 25-minute virtual coffee that used to be my hour slot.
Yep.
And it's amazing. It is amazing how much you can get done in 25 minutes. And my fear early on was like, okay, this is, there's been a couple meetings that I've had to, okay, we need a part 2. But for the most part, when we have that proper boundary, it's amazing what happens. And I have had more time free up. Now I just have more meetings, but that's a whole nother problem I have. But yeah, love it. And so really, what is the call to action? What is the result that our listener, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you, can take from this concept?
Well, I think there's one more thing that I'd like to share, is this concept of an agenda.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Novel concept. Something
we need that for our podcast.
Yeah, right. to be honest, we haven't really done a good job with agendas. And what I really like, and what Cameron says, is he does not attend a meeting that doesn't have an agenda.
Yeah, I like that.
And he wants to know, like, what type of meeting is it? Is this going to be a decision meeting? Is this going to be an informational meeting? Is this going to be a brainstorming meeting? Like, I want to be very clear on what that is. I want to know, who's in charge of the meeting, who's, who are the people, the stakeholders, who's going to be making decisions, what's the result, essentially. And we talk about that a lot too. And the thing that really clicked for me is this idea that you may be invited to a meeting, but that doesn't mean you have to attend.
Yeah.
And the agenda allows you to see what's actually going on and ask the question, is it enough for me to just hear what happened during that meeting? Yeah. I think that's something, again, whether you're an employee, whether you run a business, whether you're in between or do all of the above, like that's something right there of like actually being intentional of why is the meeting happening in the first place? And the agenda will force you to do that. Jeff Bezos talks about his 6-page memo anytime somebody has a new idea. And the same thing is true there of like, you actually have to sit down and think about what is the purpose of this, and then bring the right people to the table. So the call to action really is, I would love to hear from you guys in all the things that we just talked about. What ways or what ideas, what concepts from this do you think that you could bring to either your personal life, your professional life, your business, to be able to make your meetings suck less?
Thank you so much for listening to the BetterWealth podcast. It would mean the world to me if you could hit subscribe, leave a review, and share this with the people that you know and love.